Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time it's a game on Mastertronic's MAD label, Terminus. Mastertronic's MAD label was designed to give games of greater depth and quality a chance to be released on budget, and the games cost $2.99, and Terminus was part of the second batch of games that came out. It's got the slightly different artwork, as you can see here on the cover, not the original almost comic style artwork. The game was designed by Paul Hargreaves and programmed by Simon Freeman. No loading screen on any of the versions. Starting off with the Amstrad CPC, one of the first budget games I ever bought. And there you go, Amstrad version by Simon Freeman. Copyright 1986 Mastertronic. Press fire to begin. So this is the teleport screen, and you can see 4 different playable characters on the screen, each of which has different abilities. You're all members of the gang, the Wanglers. So the aim of the game is to rescue your boss, Brains, which is a very imaginative name there, who is imprisoned somewhere on the planet. There's 512 screens in the game. It's essentially a maze game, and you've got to find your way through all the screens to rescue Brains. Each playable character has different abilities. We're Mobod at the moment, and his special ability is the ability to use his jetpack without any depletion of the thrust meter in the status screen up there, so we can fly at all times without, unlike some of the other characters who only have a limited amount of flying time. And for example, there's one character who can only bounce, which we'll see later on. Very chunky graphics here on the Amstrad. Very colourful. One of the first budget games for $2.99 I ever bought. I think the second. The first one was the abysmal five-a-side soccer. Just trying to find my way around. I genuinely have not played this game since probably the mid-1980s, to be honest, when I first got this. Oh, no, I know that is up there. That is a machine that, if you sit on that platform on the left, you will unlock certain doors. There you go. The arrow will point to where the door it's going to unlock is. Right, let's go down, I think. Let's have a look up. Right, so that's unlocked. That's where the lock is. And all these very colourful graphics, all these little aliens and things that are going on around you. That little alien in the right-hand side there. Right, so I'm going to try again, activate this. Let's go. No, that's up. Let's go down. Right. Dropping down, hovering a little bit there. Right. So much imagination. These little eyes and these little enemies that look, oh, here's some things to shoot coming after you. Reminds you a little bit of Soul of a Robot and Non-Terror Aqueous, which are contemporaries of this game. Just forwarded on, so that's Mobod dead. Let's try Specs now. And he's the one who only bounces. I'm going to try not to touch these barriers, which is easier said than done when you're bouncing. And the thing I'm noticing here is you can't steer when you're in the air. This is fiddly beyond belief. There's no music in the game, just basic spot effects and background. It's kind of buzzing, I suppose. A lot of thought's gone into the presentation of this game, even if it is very garish. I can't control this. This is uncontrollable. You'd think that there might be certain parts of the game where the different characteristics, i.e. bouncing, and there's also one character who's magnetic, who sticks to the ceilings, might come in handy. But no, actually, I've been watching playthroughs of this on YouTube, and somebody completed the game with just using the first character we saw. And this is Magno. He clings to the ceilings, and he's slightly more controllable than Specs, but only marginally. Basically, what you need in this game is the first character we saw, who can fly with unlimited flying ability. And even this one, even his magnetic ability, you can see the thrust meter goes down when I stick to the ceiling. This is awful. This is dreadful. You know, when you're flying around with a jetpack, it's fairly fun, but having a character who only sticks to the ceilings, oh, no. It's, unless there's some point of the game where this becomes useful, and I can tell you for now, having looked at the playthroughs, there isn't, because you can get through with just the guy with the jetpack to complete the game. I don't know why they just don't have one character. And here we go, here's the other guy with the jetpack, Zan. But he doesn't have infinite thrust ability. He's a little bit more manoeuvrable than the other guy, but his energy runs down really quickly. So now I've got to sit down there and let that recharge before I can go up to the next bit. And here we go. Oh, no, you see it drops down again. When that meter reaches the left-hand side, that's it. Drop down there. Graphics are a little bit chunky on the Amstrad, but it does look good. Over to the Sinclair Spectrum. And this is a 48K game, so this is the original version by the looks of it. Paul Hargreaves or Peter Hargreaves, forget which is which. Program this. Slightly more straightforward. Oh, these graphics are very nice. Slightly more straightforward status screen at the top. And the graphics are colourful, yet very, very clear and very detailed. It looks nice. In many ways, looks nicer than the Amstrad with all those chunky graphics. It's very detailed, and they've been very clever in, well, we'll see if there's colour clash going on, but certainly the basic screen designs have been done very cleverly to avoid colour clash, but get as much colour in as possible. This is really nice. Yeah, I mean, when you pass over things, you do get colour clash, but it's not noticeable colour clash. It's not really garish things. It's, when you pass over some of the white objects, you go to black, and that's not really noticeable, unlike some games where there's lots of multicolour things you're passing through, and you just go, it goes weird. Right, down here. Drop down. Mobod, that's the game, name of the game guy I got at the moment. And yeah, looking at some playthroughs on YouTube, you can complete this game just by using Mobod. There's no need to use any other character. Oh no, I've touched the sensor there. This is one of the rooms where if you touch a sensor by accident, it fills up with water or something. Dropping down. I'm cheating a little bit because I've looked at a playthrough just to see which direction to go in, but to be honest, by this far in, I can't remember. And with 512 screens, well, there was a big trend at this time for games that were absolutely massive. And yeah, this is one of them. And it is completable because I've seen it done. It takes about 20-25 minutes apparently, but there's so many. You've got to know where you're going. There's 512 screens in this game, and if you don't know where you're going, then you're going to have to map it and have a lot of patience. There's nothing that actually comes after you aside from some baddies on certain screens which you get to shoot. Again, a bit like Non-Terra Aqueous that I mentioned earlier. But apart from that, you see, you can pass through these here. You lose energy, and apparently there are parts. Well, apparently there are power-ups available, though I've not yet seen one. There's clearly so much thought gone into this game in terms of the design and the graphics, and we're now playing with Zan again to see what he plays like on the Spectrum. And play-wise, it plays exactly the same as the Amstrad version. The only difference is these slightly more high-resolution graphics. You just run out of thrust with these guys. You're going to wait for it to charge up again before you can go up Every character, apart from Mobod, is incredibly frustrating, basically. I can see what the programmer is trying to do, that it's a gang that's come to this planet to rescue their boss. And if you could swap between them at any time, and if the different abilities were put to use, then that would be fine. But it's not, and now we're playing with Magno. See if he's any more useful a bit further into the game. Oh, it's just fiddly. It's just fiddly. So I've run out of thrust or magnetic ability, and yeah. And I'm now in one of these sections where I don't really know where I am because a lot of the screens look exactly the same. Over to the MSX, and this one's by Simon Freeman, who also did the Amstrad version. Interesting to see if this looks similar to the Spectrum. Certainly with the teleportation screen, it looks very similar. So I'm going to start off with Mobot again. And yeah, it looks very similar to the Spectrum version. Splash more of colour. In fact, because the main sprite here is yellow. Interesting to see if they're using the MSX sprites. We'll soon find out as soon as I cross over any other objects if there's any colour clash. Down here we go. And the thing is, with Terminus, it is just a big maze. That's really all it is. This plays exactly the same as the Spectrum and Amstrad versions. Well, this, if you look at the status screen there, that's the same as the Amstrad version because it's the same programmer. So this is essentially is the Amstrad version, I guess, with some MSX style graphics probably copied across from the Spectrum and then altered. It's really unmarked. Let's see if specs is any more use later into the game. Well, I've got a bit more control in a larger area. In that start area, you're more confined, and it's... I was never any good at games like Whizball. Right. Oh, no, it's... Oh, I'm up here now. I'll tell you what. The MSX draw time between the screens, look at that there. That's... You can see where it's drawing the colour and then draws the screen. Now, I've checked that, and that's 14 frames of animation at 50 frames a second compared to 4 frames on the Spectrum version. So the screen draw time is significantly larger than the Spectrum version. Perhaps it would have been better if they'd blanked to the screen, just had a black screen when it was drawing it, as opposed to this slightly messy thing you get, especially with Specs. You don't notice it with the other characters, but Specs, you end up... Oh, I'm just managing a bit better. Specs, you end up bouncing around between screens quite a lot. He's a bit more controllable down here, but not much. Some baddies coming after me now, which makes a little bit of variation at least, but it's... Once you've played a few screens of this game, you've seen the lot, basically. There's a lot of charm and character in the game, but it really is a big, empty game that was the fad during this time, it has to be said. Terminus is an impressive game at first sight. It's large, it has good graphics on all 3 versions, the Amstrad, the Spectrum and the MSX. And yes, it does appear to use the MSX's hardware sprite, certainly for the main character, because I can't see any colour clash. But ultimately, for all the eye candy the game has to offer, it's a big, boring and empty game. It's essentially just a big maze with 512 screens that you've got to find your way through. And having had to play through all the 3 versions, to be honest, I can't recommend any one of them above the other. They are all equal, and that's such a rare thing to say they're all competently ported. The Spectrum version is the original, and the Amstrad and MSX version are ports, and minor niggles aside, they're both very competently ported by Simon Freeman to the Amstrad and the MSX. The problems with the game are simply ones of the design. It's a big, empty game, and once you've seen the first 10 screens or so, really, that's it. That's all there is to see. A real shame, because with a little bit more to this game, it could actually be a classic. As it stands, it's good for 5 minutes, and then you've seen the lot.